Steven Universe has taken like a very deep dive in the storyline recently, right? And it started off a bit more fun, a bit more like slice of life. To the cast, how aware were you of how serious it was going to get later on?
Very much unaware.
We started to put the puzzle together eventually, but in the beginning, we very much thought the show would stay on that same sort of course, but very glad it didn't.
Yeah, very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I feel like when we watch the episodes, we often watch them as fans as well. So I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait for the next step. I want to see what happens.
What was the moment when you realized, oh, things are changing?
Jailbreak for a lot of reasons. I mean, the fandom really responded in an incredible way to that episode, and also just the beauty of Garnet singing and fighting at the same time. It's a very visually stunning episode. As far as plot goes, it really breaks things open, just for a lot of reasons, that one.
I think I'll go all the way back to Line Straight to Video. I think that's when Rebecca really took us on a major field trip, and I don't think I've actually recovered still. So.
Is that a field trip or field trip?
Field trip, Zach. It's the field trip.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, welcome aboard, man.
You're stuck. You can't get off.
Well, Zach, you mentioned Jailbreak. I feel like that's one of the first episodes where you kind of get a deeper understanding of what fusion is. How far back was that part of the concept for you, Rebecca?
Those plans go back to the pilot. Even in the pilot, there's a lot of suggestions specifically about Garnet. It was something that we always knew and were building toward. I think even at the pilot stage, I had sort of made a list of everyone's combinations and what their weapons would become, and I remember showing it to people and being like, what is this? What is this? Like, I didn't talk about the emotional component yet. I was just like, oh, like, they're going to have a hammer. They're like, what? And I'm like, but then I think as we were fleshing it out, I mean, the real reason we wanted to do it was for the character exploration of who these people are together, which I think is, even though it's about these characters who are gems, it's such a human thing to sort of become a different person when you're around someone, to have the relationship you have with a person kind of have its own identity. That's what's exciting to me about fusions.
Obviously, music is a big part of the show, draw of the show. At what point, like, what form are the songs in when you guys first get them? Like, do you know about them far, like, in advance? Do you find out about it when you see, like, a script?
Yeah, it's at the most we'll know maybe a few weeks in advance, unless she's told us, like, something's coming up and really excited about it. But we get it in demo form, so it's either her or whoever wrote it playing it on ukulele or piano and singing along, and then we mirror it after that.
Actually, that's one of my favorite parts is getting the demos. It's
Me too.
For me, it's often Jeff Lewis singing, and then for the group songs, Rebecca as well. And so I have a playlist on my computer.
You keep them?
Of course I keep them. You're amazing. And it's so great to listen to. I mean, the music, as you know, is amazing. So, yeah, it's my special little demo playlist that I jam out to at home.
Just making everyone jealous, because now they're going to want, like, a demo album.
Yeah, that's the Steven Universe mixtape.
Yes. Remix. Yeah.
All the hidden tracks.
I just moved to a neighborhood with many barking dogs, and now my demos have
Like
a lot of dog barks.
They're like, who put DMX in this? Just kidding. Okay.
For me, it's the screaming children in the back alley behind. Like it's a community with a gate, so like all the kids hang out in the alley, and they. Yeah. Every time I try to record VO at home, it's very, very obnoxious.
Oh, that's funny.
You were recently Emmy nominated for your musical episode.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference between doing an episode that happens to have songs and doing an episode that is, it's a musical episode, it's driven by the songs?
I feel like whenever there is a song, I mean, the story and the music, they're never sort of separatable. If they are, then we don't do it, because we only want to use songs when you need a song to advance that character. Like it has to be that big of a deal for them. There's a quote from Fosse that I always think about, and I'm going to definitely get wrong, but it's something about how if it's not enough to speak something, then the character should sing it, and if that's not enough, then they should dance. And so I always think about that, because we'll have these moments like Garnet's fusion in Jailbreak, where it's like that is too big a deal for her to just say, you know, I'm together again. She has to sing it. She has to dance. It's
She has to rap it.
yeah, she must. You know, I think like It's Over is similar, where Pearl is like exploring something that she can't explore just by talking about it. And in fact, I think she literally cannot talk about it. She feels like she can't talk about it. She has no outlet for the way that she's feeling. It's not even something she fully understands. So she has to sing about it.
Can we maybe hear It's Over?
Yeah. I can. Do you want to do a uke version with me?
Okay, I would love I was fine with the men who would come into her life now and again. I was fine, 'cause I knew that they didn't really matter until you. I was fine when you came, and we fought like it was all some silly game over her, who she'd choose. After all those years, I never thought I'd lose. It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? You won, and she chose you, and she loved you, and she's gone. It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? War and glory, reinvention, fusion, freedom, her attention. Out in daylight, my potential, bold, precise, experimental. Who am I now in this world without her? Petty and dull, with the nerve to doubt her. What does it matter? It's already done. Now I've got to be there for her son. It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? It's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over? You won, and she chose you, and she loved you, and she's gone. It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? It's over, isn't it? Why can't I move on? It's very early.
Hooray! How often do you guys get to hear each other sing? Like, you don't record all together?
We certainly didn't record that one together. I was in
Yeah.
the studio with Rebecca.
Yeah,
and
that was when you were doing Tommy.
It was when I was doing
Yeah.
Tommy. And
We had a-
Tommy's a very different musical. Lots of screaming. And so I was terrified to go into the studio because oftentimes our recording sessions are in the morning. And I just had a show the night before and I was freaking out. I was like, I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I don't know what I'm going to have in store. And now I'm feeling the same way because it's...
Oh, I mean, it came out fantastic. I loved it. Dee Dee was amazing in Tommy. It was so funny when I got to see you after I saw you do Tommy, and you were talking about the character, the mother character, and you were like, oh, I didn't realize at first that she's not a very good mother. I'm like, no, not really. Well, anyway.
I have to brag on your current show too, Next to Normal. It
Yes,
is
incredible.
So good.
I think somebody from LA Times came to see the show too, but yeah, that was another mother. That was she was.
Yeah.
You're good at moms. Really good at moms.
I like the mom character.
But there was a solid year where we didn't have Dee Dee in the studio because she was on tour, and
Oh,
we
it
missed
was
her very
so
much.
sad.
Yeah.
Zach
so-
and I'd be like, look at her mic and be like, We miss Bird Mom.
Holding down the fort.
It is such a treat, though, when we, because we often do record in the booth together, so it's such a treat when we get to hear stars like Dee Dee and Estelle sing, and you're just sitting there and you have this front row seat to these amazing performers. It is, I get goosebumps every time Dee Dee sings. I do. Look at
I get goosebumps every time you say wah wah.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said.
I think my favorite thing is when we're all together, when we do efforts.
Oh,
We go around.
Yeah.
Because we have to sort of, there'll be like an earthquake or something, and then we'll go around the room, just everyone will go, wah. And then you'll kind of just, everyone, the first one will happen, and I'll think, well, that's as weird as that could possibly sound.
Yeah.
And then, and then whoever's next will always do it
We're always
weirder.
trying to top it.
Yeah.
It's very silly very quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we say like one word things, it'll be like who, and then I always notice we'll do it like in like steps of like an octave. It'll be like who, like go around the room.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're definitely.
You know, it's a cartoon, so when you're recording, like, how much of your physical actions are you putting into it?
Oh, plenty.
Yeah.
I'm very physical when I record. I have to be. I've always said if you chop my arms off, I couldn't do voiceover.
Yeah, I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to do this a lot.
Yeah, I still do. Like when I'm singing too. Like it's something about my breath control. Like if I do this, like it helps.
We have to make sure we wear clothes that don't jingle too.
Yeah. This
Oh,
would
man.
not be good.
The very first,
wind
I think we recorded Laser Light first when we started the show, and I wore this like button-up shirt that was really, really loud when I would move at all. So I did like 3/4 of the session like this with my hands up in the air, and I was so nervous. I was like, "Oh no! Like I just got on this job and I'm totally messing it up." So I just had my arms up the entire time.
Another one part about Steven Universe, it's the meta element that there's a lot of lessons are learned from being fans about something. Like Steven is super into so many things. Peridot learned from becoming involved. Was it
Campaigning hard.
Campaigning Hearts.
Put.
It's color word, Paulette.
It's cool.
Are there any like cartoons or anything that you remember taking like a lesson from when you were growing up?
I mean, I watched a lot of Arthur growing up. and
Oh, man.
That show definitely had a lot of that going on. And, I didn't have siblings, but it really, things like sharing and teaching, like respecting your family members and stuff like that. DW was very rude for the record, but there was still lessons to be learned there.
Yeah. That feels great. Oh, me? I mean, I think I learned a lot from, I guess not so much lessons from cartoons, but I think for me, being a fan of cartoons became the basis for so many of my relationships with people. And it was one of the biggest things that me and my brother did when we hung out. We'd watch cartoons together, we'd play video games together. So the feeling of sort of having friends and having fun was forever linked to being a fan of things. And I think I felt a sense of community with other fans of that where I met people I would never have met otherwise. And there was always a sense, I think, in the back of my mind that there was something sort of illegitimate about it, because it's just cartoons, and it's sort of silly to have that be the thing that's really connecting you with other human beings. So somehow it doesn't count. There must be something more important that could be like such a deeply spiritual feeling connection with people. But I mean, why not? I mean, anything that so there's something in these shows that I liked that was resonating with me, resonating with my brother. It was something we shared. It was something I was sharing with other people. And I think with Steven, we really want the show to be able to be that for people who watch it, and then also the characters to sort of understand that, so you feel that as you feel that, you're understood by the characters. It's sort of an infinite mirror, I think, this feeling, but it's something we think about a lot.
I just remember growing up hearing, I did not know that, and now you know, and knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe. Oh. Do you remember that? Okay.
He's an American hero.
He is. I totally dated myself. But anyway, just to piggyback off of what Rebecca was saying, I love that I can watch this show with my kids. I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, and there's a lot of cartoons out there that I would have a hard time sitting through watching with my kids, but Steven Universe is definitely not one of those. I look forward to watching it with my kids. We watch it as a family, and there are definitely lessons that are learned that my kids, it's done in such a subtle and beautiful and simple way that it speaks to people of all ages. So that's one of the things that I just love, and I'm so proud to be part of your show.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
Yeah, you really have done an amazing job, Rebecca, of reaching such a broad audience, whether it's people from different age groups or backgrounds, and yet all of these people feel like they've had a very specific experience and relationship with the show. So yeah, you've done it. You've executed it so artfully, and man.
We love you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Not to sound patronizing, but I'm so proud of you.
Are your emotions so heightened that you have to sing now?
Nice.
Rebecca?
Well,
She's crafty with those segues. I like it.
I did hear you liked Be Wherever You Are, so I could do that one.
I do.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Let me see. It's been a little bit though, so if I have to stop and start again. Isn't this such a beautiful night? Whoa, we're underneath 1,000 shining stars. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Look at this place, look at your faces. I've never seen you look like this before. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Look at this place, look at your faces. They're shining like 1,000 shining stars. Isn't it nice to find yourself somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be wherever you are? Why don't you let yourself just be somewhere different? Whoa, why don't you let yourself just be whoever you are? You guys.
That's a really cute episode.
Oh,
I like
thanks.
that episode.
I love thinking about it now that we've had these major Lars revelations.
Yeah. In hindsight.
Yeah, it's still very relevant, I think. It was always really important for him to be taken away from just like the pressures of society. It's true then and it's true now.
Yeah. Instead of a tropical island, it's the
It's a horrifying
Underground.
kindergarten.
home world.
Yeah. He's with friends.
It's a vacation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess the other big thing about Steven Universe is that, right? I think kids and adults both are really drawn to it for its LGBTQ representation.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned at the Steven Universe panel that like fluorite came partly from like a conversation you had with kids at like the center in Long Beach and stuff like that. Are there other elements like that are in your mind that you'd like to slowly incorporate into the show?
Oh my, everything. I think the thing that is really exciting to me is just to have these characters express their feelings. I think that might sound ridiculously simple, but it's hugely important to me. I think similarly with Mr. Greg, it's exciting to me to have done something where Pearl can just express those feelings, and I'm a person that for a long time was never able to express those feelings. I think if you can see something that is celebrating these characters who have these feelings that normally you feel like you can't discuss, to have them sing about them and dance about them and have them be beautiful expressions of love, that are as simple and elegant and complicated and fascinating as every other thing you've ever seen in a movie, in a love story, in a television show. It starts to become shocking that you haven't seen that before, and it starts to become more obvious why so many people feel very alone. Because you don't know other people are going through that. You don't know how to talk about it. And you don't know if there are people that are like you. And it's something I accepted for a long time, and I just don't anymore. I don't, because there's so many amazing, beautiful stories that just haven't been told. I think with something like It's Over too, it's exciting to me that it's not even about, at that point, it's not even about a relationship. It's really just about your feelings. And it's really such a simple thing, like just to have people be able to express their feelings and to see that it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. We have seen so many straight characters sing about love. And it's great. I love it. But it would be exciting to hear other things too.